Lang, it's me. Right, yes. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the somewhat suspect show we keep calling the Inworld Review. Well, it's not suspect at all, but could be. We just had a false alarm to saying that one of our machinimas had become a flat earther. No, or something. But wasn't true. It was all fake news. We don't do that here. We are virtual news as opposed to real news, but we're not fake news. Never mind. I'm known as Mal Bones. I'm your host. On my left-hand side, I'm joined by regular co-host, the wonderful Thirza Ember. Welcome, Thirza.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mal. Definitely nothing fake about that. Thank you.
Great. I'm pleased to hear it. She says, not going to look in the mirror. Right. And on my right-hand side, a wonderful tech person, sidekick, whatever, James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. I'm so thankful that you bring us together for this show, and I have a great time doing it. Looking forward to this one especially.
Right, indeed. I bring the span of together. Right, for those who don't know, the focus of the show, when we call it Inworld, we're referring to being in the virtual world, and there's something called the hypergrid, which is a system that links all modern virtual worlds together if they're actually authored using the Open Simulator platform, which is open source and everything else. So why not? It's certainly cheaper than certain walled gardens that are lurking about. And we look at the people, the places, and the arts in all across the hypergrid. And that's it really. We're also allied here with Thirza and the Hypergrid Safari, which is a little club where we go making a nuisance of ourselves all over the hypergrid with a whole gang of people who teleport in and crash the servers because they're not expecting big parties like us. Anyway, back to reality, as it were. Starting yesterday, by the way, I've forgotten the date already. Terrible. We're going to start off with Thirza and our regular hypergrid happenings before we move into our guests and a few other things. So over to you, Thirza, for Lang.
Yes, the hypergrid, it's a happening place, and that is not fake news. That's the truth. There's quite a lot happening this week, and I'd like to begin by just mentioning this wonderful hunt adventure build that they have over on Neverworld Grid. It's called Last of Boston, which I believe is not only a game but also a TV show. If you've watched it, it's kind of one of those zombie shows about two warring groups of people trying to survive on the streets of Boston. Some years, you've seen that one?
It's called Last of Us. It's
well, yeah, they play with the names over here just to avoid copyright issues. Anyway, it's on Neverworld Grid. It's a classic build by the Neverworld Grid building group, as we all know them very well. The love to build as a group, and they've got some really great talent over there. And so this is a kind of a hunt game that you can enjoy over on Neverworld Grid. It's open right now, so anytime you're free, that will be a fun one to go to. This picture is of a new gallery. It's by Star Ravenhurst, and it's just going to open in about 2-3 weeks from now. It's called Le Beau de Trouve. It's over on Genesis Roleplay Grid. The event is not until I think it's 2 weeks from now. So please watch out for the publicity that you will see. There'll be all kinds of invitations going out. The actual gallery contains art by people like Raphaelis Kisses that we know very well, Roland Francis, lots of other people. There's some really lovely photos taken by Star herself. It's quite a range of different stuff, so really lovely. So watch out for that coming in the next few weeks. Something else that's coming up is this Solar Punk event, which is on Craft Grid. This is actually on the 16th, which is Tuesday. So this is an interesting event because, as usual, the Museo del Metaverso, they like to combine sort of a little bit of reality, a little bit of politics, a little bit of world events in their calendar. And this is another classic one. So Solar Punk, it's called. Definitely worth having a look at. And that'll be sort of this time of day on Tuesday. So if you're around this time of day, go over to Craft Grid and look for the Museo del Metaverso Sim, which is just called MDM. So very easy name to look for. Something else that's coming up on Thursday is our friend Lampitala Artist. She has a little opening there. As we all know, she does those wonderful sims that are like fairy tales, very delicate, beautiful things that she puts together. And this one is on Cloud's Head World Heart. That's the name of the region. Again, it's at 11 a.m. SLT, so sort of an hour before this time as we're speaking right now. That'll be on Thursday evening. So another beautiful thing to go to if you get the chance. And then this weekend, there's an event over on Kitely, which is a dance event back to the 1980s, which it looks like a lot of fun. However, I think a lot of you will not be available at that time because you probably will be coming to the Hypergrid International Expo. Just a reminder that that's on from the 19th to the 21st. We got 8 speakers in 4 languages. So you'll have talks in German and French and Italian and Portuguese. It's going to be a big event. There's also loads of art performances. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up between particles and lighting effects and just massive art, dance, music. It's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be wonderful. And just to remind everybody that it's actually a 3-day event in a way, because we have the opening party on the Friday, starting at 11 a.m. SLT with music with Zori and Marlon Wayne and then Zeno Stark. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have these lectures, these talks, which are a big range of subjects, everything from how to get involved in open simulator development, right down to people telling their own personal story of how they got involved in making art or making music in open sim. And then on Sunday after the event, we'll have a big EEP show by Nick Spreen. So plenty to look forward to. Lots of music, lots of art, and of course the great expo, which is surrounding the auditorium. So loads of things happening this week. And of course, as usual, we ask you, if you do have an event, a project, a party, an art opening, maybe you teach a class, anything like that coming up on your grid, and you'd like to hear it mentioned on our show, let us know, and we will include it here on Hypergrid Happenings.
Well, thank you, Thirza, for the wonderful roundup of Hypergrid Happenings. It feels like there should be a trumpet or something accompanying me on that, but never mind, never mind. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Now, Thirza also has a blog which is mostly devoted to our safaris, and we're not doing them at the moment, but she has a number of other things there. You'll find it at hgsafari.blogspot.com. So it's hgsafari.blogspot.com. And she had one post this week. I'm not quite sure whether this is something that only happened on Thursday, April the 11th, or whether it's something that actually begun then. But we've just got some photographs. It's Wildwoods Bayou and Market Roleplay. Do you want any comments on this, Thirza? Showing off your pictures?
Yeah, be happy to. And we actually have Contessa right here with us. Tessa's very much involved in this. There's a picture of her on the screen. This is an event that obviously the Wildwood BioGrid has a couple of roleplay groups, but what they're trying to do is encourage more and more people to get out there and do roleplay and just sort of get to know other roleplay groups to kind of build the sense of community. And so maybe Tessa would like to say a few words about that.
The open roleplay that we have at the market at our roleplay hub, it now happens just periodically. We don't have a regular schedule, but we always put an ad on Open Sim World with a link to our grid. So keep a, keep watching for that. We'll have that out there if we, when we plan the next one. That's all I got. It was really fun though.
I thought it was great.
And
It's
thank
great
you
fun.
thank you for putting that on your blog, because I think we had more hypergrid visitors because of that. We had a really good time, didn't we, Xenon?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We had a lot of people.
It was fun.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because it really the amount of work you guys have done, and this is definitely a place worth visiting if you're into role play or not. It's still a very, very interesting and pretty place, and just to see the quality of the quality that goes in not only to the builds but into your storylines, and the witty and cute little extras, the details. It's a wonderful place. It's very immersive. I loved it.
Did you get your fortune told?
I let Tessa do that. I didn't want to. As a reporter, I made my excuses and left.
Can't interfere.
I never get a good fortune. It's always very ambiguous.
They always
I
are.
think your fortune said.
I know.
The best.
No, I think it said something like, "Good things will happen to you, but they won't. You not getting any money or something like that. It's good,
something
but
like that.
not financially."
It's
Something
like our tarot cards in the I Ching. They're vague enough to be interpreted a million ways, but they really can sound profound in the hands of the teller.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that one there and move across here to a few other things. Now, in fact, I'll do it now. A few things to look at before we get into our main stuff. First of all, on Hypergrid Happenings, you've already heard Thirza talk about the Hypergrid International Expo. This is a promotional film James here actually created for us. We've shown it before, but remember, this is now next weekend. In fact, this show won't be here next week because of HIE. Will be in the final leg, in fact, this time next week. But anyway, this tells you it's just a little promotional film about it, which will remind you that it's happening. I hope. I think you need a bit of advanced eyesight there to read all those credits that just rolled up at the speed of light. You know, I don't know what we hid in there, but it must have been something important we needed to
I
censor.
it it's that the list of all the grids that were involved and
Yeah, sure.
the specific people, but it's such a long list. The whole video could have lasted showing them all. There's so many. We have, I think there's 102, 103 booths on the expo this time, compared with last year when I think we had it was like 70. There was much more
Yeah.
uptake, and it's great. Yeah.
Just in the middle region alone, I counted, I think it was 92. That's just in region 4, as it were. So you've got two other regions on either side completing that path. It's quite a nice long trek with a boost every couple of seconds, basically. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is this one is maybe you want to tell us before I start. Actually, this is Lux Eterna. This is Lauru's film, I guess. I forget whether we showed it last week or the week before, but did you have any comment on this, Thursday? You reminded me of it earlier.
Well, just to say that generally speaking, think of Lauru as a designer of clothes mostly, but she's also a great videographer. Of course, she's also a DJ, but she's a builder too, and she's got some really nice work over there on Art Destiny Grid. Of course, also Triad has a lot of beautiful artwork too, and Stormy Scorpio has her beautiful fantasy and sci-fi landscapes, but I'm a big fan of Laura. You never see too many of her videos from my point of view, so glad to see it. If it's again, happy about that.
Well, let's have a look at this, and I'll be following it up with a repeat of an introduction to Open Simulator video we had a few weeks ago, which I'm most impressed by.
Hi everyone, Michelle here. Today I'm Jing to give you an introduction into the world of Open Simulator software and discussing its incredible features and functionality. Open Simulator is an open source multi-purpose virtual world platform that allows you to create your own virtual world with a variety of features and functionalities. Open Simulator provides endless possibilities for designing and building your own unique virtual world environment. One of the standout features is the ability to import 3D models from popular modeling software like Blender. There are also many websites that provide 3D models that can be downloaded and imported into an OpenSim world. OpenSim also gives you the ability to create new 3D models directly within your world. There are many different viewers available. That gives you access to OpenSim's virtual worlds. So imagine the endless opportunities this provides for creating unique environments and experiences. Another fantastic aspect of Open Simulator is its flexibility as it supports a variety of region backends, allowing you to choose from different providers depending on your needs or preferences. Overall, Open Simulator is an incredibly powerful and versatile tool for those seeking to create their own virtual world. With its wide range of features and customization options, you can truly make a virtual world your own. Thank you so much for joining me today and exploring this amazing software. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Until next time, happy virtual world exploring.
I like that film. The voice is quite pleasant, but you will notice a bit robotic in places. You know, it's obviously been programmed, but that's probably all AI and everything these days. I don't know. I don't know at all, really. So, right, one more film to show you, but before we do that, I'm going to introduce our guest because there is a connection between our guest and the film I'm going to show you. So, we're going to be looking at education and things a bit, and totally independently of our guests, I actually dug up a film that was said bringing learning to life, and it turns out it's made by one of our guests anyway, which is fine. So let me introduce everybody here. I hope I've got my pronunciations right and everything. Firstly, we've got Xenon Darrow. Welcome, Xenon.
Thank you.
I hope I
Glad
pronounced
to
it.
be here.
I think I've got that pronounced right. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the
company.
element. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that is what we say. Yeah. Also, we've got Contessa Lacombe. Welcome, Contessa.
Thanks, Mal.
And finally, last but not least, certainly we have Indigo Moon. Welcome, Indigo.
Hi, everybody. Pleased to meet you all.
Right. And the thing you have in common is that your tag says you're all from grid wolfterritories.org. Port number 8002, because that is you're kind of representing your particular thing here today, but good that you're all from Wolf Territories too. We've had the governor of Wolf Territories, Lone Wolf, on the show before. He's actually in the audience here, live in front of us today, along with Savannah, Wicked Way, Wicked, and Jax, and probably others that are out of my camera view, actually, but they're all live in the audience here watching the three ladies here doing their thing. So before we start, the film that I'm about to show, we were looking at, it's yours, Contessa, is that right? Or was it Xenon's?
If it's
Xenon's.
bringing learning to life, it's mine.
Right. Okay, well, just before we start talking about you, since this is a film made by you, we'll just, this is the last of the live action, well, the noisy films, shall I say. We'll just have a look at this before we move on. Right, it's all in the pictures, really, there, isn't it? I think I actually noticed. I think one of those shots came from. I think it's called Wolf Tech, a region I went in and was filming a little bit earlier. But am I right in thinking that most of the shots there were from various places on Wolf territories?
Actually, no. Those shots are from. So I have a region in Wolf Territories called Abandon Hope, and you'll find I use a lot of references to Dante, by the way. And so that region is actually one that I bought from someone who built it, and I just fell in love with it. It is going to be eventually for my instructional design course that I did years ago for corporate clients, but it will always. That will be an exploration of instructional systems design and accelerated learning as a 3D immersive experience. And so it has about it's a 6x6, and it has about 5 different landscapes in it. And it's designed for you to explore for hours. So all of those shots are from Abandon Hope. The shots were done by my friend. The photos were done by a friend of mine, Doc Nolan, who has an art gallery on my regions that we're going to be soft opening. And it's really cool. It's called The Art Journey. He does a lot of AI art and a lot of Inworld photography, but it's going to be a learning experience as well, where he shares prompts and information about how to do filming. So hopefully the soft opening for that, everything we tried desperately to get it ready to launch today, but I'm hoping to do a soft opening for that in a week or so, and I'll let you guys know when we do. Yeah.
A shame, really.
Wonderful. Thank you.
It wasn't open already.
I know, right?
Too, because it looked great. But right.
He does some beautiful work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this morning, basically, I've just taken 2 lots of film, quite a short silent film, rough and ready, unlike your actual proper video. I just film it so we can run it behind us as we're talking. But the area I was sent to was Wolf Tech, I believe it was called. And there was another one for VWEC here, which I followed on the map, and I landed up under the ocean. So I think there's an adjacent sim that's not quite built yet.
Yeah, we just fixed. Well, we just fixed it. There actually is a landing point, but for about 90% of the people, it's working, and then some of you, I think it just goes, nope, you're going in the ocean. Good luck. So we now have an alternate landing spot that TPs you over.
I knew where I was because the moment I cameraed up to the surface of the ocean, I saw the great big icy mountain border of the bit I did know, so that was fine. Now, okay, let's talk about the new region that you're opening a little bit later, because that'll be a great something. I know you brought some of your own pictures. So are any of those at the new region?
Those are all a bunch of new regions. I don't have the art journey there, but I'm going to be launching about 5 regions. So all of them are concerned with some sort of link to digital learning in the virtual world. Everything I'm doing is around that.
Okay, well, I'm very familiar with the Virtual World Education Consortium, who, of course, are in what we call the other place.
No, they're also coming here, though. They have,
Well, this picture you're seeing on the screen in front of you is actually the still from the beginning of the film that I made. So it just seemed like a fairly good place to start. I mean, I thought, well, I'll pan in on that, and then the film can then sort of move away and include the rest of your landing area when it decides it wants to move, that is. There we are. So this is the region of yours I went to film earlier. I mean, it's lovely to look at. I like these landscape kind of places. Got my name tag showing there. I don't quite know what was going on here. Presumably paid games in the landing area, but it's a nice sort of region to walk around. But is the that looks like a sort of stage, doesn't it? Jealousy there, right?
It's an amphitheater actually.
Yeah.
So
Oh, right.
let me say a few things about this region.
Yeah.
Everything you're going to see these are not classrooms. The conversation around what I'm doing here is not classrooms. Other people, other people can teach, right? That's not what I do. We are creating inspiring learning spaces, and VWEC and Wolf Tech are great examples of that, where this is about collaboration and idea sharing. It's designed to even do mini conferences where you could have breakout groups go and talk about different topics. We have some actual grid specific teaching tools that have been developed and are being developed to that end. The amphitheater is set in this gorgeous forest nature scene, but you can see in the main area that's kind of set up to be a collaboration podcasting area. And then we have a community circle. You showed that a little while ago, where you can talk in the round. This area will become another discussion area, breakout area. We've got a couple of others. I think we've got a campfire, and then we've got this area like platforms over the water on one of the streams. And really, there's a principle or a model called accelerated learning model. And there's a gentleman by the name of, I think he's dead now, by the name of Jorge Lozanoff. And he created an alteration of this model that's all around thematic learning and immersive learning, and about whole brain stimulation through being immersed in a theme, an artistic theme. And so this is designed for that, right? This is designed for whole brain stimulation, not for traditional learning. Right. My principle is this. I really don't want to do anything in the virtual world that we can do in real life. I don't want to do things we can do in Zoom. I don't want to do lectures. I want to create a place where people come and they experience something, and therefore there is a creativity present, inspiration present for collaboration and idea sharing that wouldn't normally be there in the real world, right? Because you're not going to say, hey, everybody, I want this group to go out on the platform, right? And they're in the middle of the woods over the streams. And that's where they're having their topic discussion. And we've got facilitative tools around that'll be specific to the grid to actually support that. I don't know if you guys heard, but Lone also just made a special streaming application for the grid that is also really conducive to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah,
and a couple other things that have.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Is that one of Lone Wolf's? It seems to work a bit like Screen Leak that we use here for the screen. Is that the one?
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, it's similar, Mel. Yep.
Yeah,
okay, good. I'm kind of techie around learning, but not techie around that stuff. So forgive me if
Fair enough. I'm sure Wolf is super techie on most of this stuff.
So, and I'm sure you know, VWEC is making their way into the hypergrid, where I'm the ambassador for Wolf Territories. We have an ambassador for Kitely. So he and I will be splitting the quarterly meetings for Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. And man, I would love to see anybody there. If you come into Wolf Territories and come to the VWEC region, click that board. You're going to be able to join the group. It's free to join. And we would love to talk to you, coach you, mentor you, have you contribute to whatever kind of virtual world education efforts you're making. And they don't just have to be classroom efforts. So, come on down. We'll be having an opening soon.
So as far as this region is concerned, you sort of view it obviously, as you say, it's not the classroom. You view it as sort of like a tranquil, a suitable place to explore and to stimulate your thinking and things like that. And obviously, you can meet. It's a meeting place that people can meet as avatars, and talk about things. Are you any plans to make it? I mean, one thing that's distinct here is that everything is fairly passive. There's a stone circle, there are seats where you can sit, talk, and it all looks lovely. But there's nothing actually interactive here. One of the things I think we see in virtual worlds is the ability for people to do things that, as you say, you couldn't actually do in the real world, but you can actually do much more effectively in the virtual world. I mean, I'm not talking about the high end, like training surgeons so they don't drop scalpels in real people. They practice in virtual reality first. But I'm thinking more of the sort of try out ideas sort of thing, I've been to virtual locations that have things like whiteboards and whatever, they're interactive, so the people in the region can actually interact with each other, not just by talking and whatever, but through the boards and things. Have you got any ideas about extending this for educational purposes beyond just the lovely setting, if you see what I mean?
Yes.
I've
So
got a
one
bit
of
more film, by the way, which I filmed experimentally, which probably gives us a better idea. I used a mouse cam, I think it's called. That gives you a better idea of the ground level here, by the way. So carry on, tell me. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things we're working on, the answer is yes. And most everything takes time, right? So we've kind of been in a rush to get anything launched. One of the things that's coming online very, very soon that Lone is working on is an AI bot that is similar to Bobby. I don't know if y'all know who Bobby is, but
No.
Bobby is powered by Chat GPT. When you go
right.
to when you go to Wolf Territories, he's in different places throughout the territory, and you can ask him questions, and then you hope that Bobby doesn't tell you how great he is, because he's kind of had this thing going on lately. But we are creating an alternative to Bobby called Athena. And Athena is designed from the same concept as Microsoft Flip. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you give Athena a topic, and Athena comes up with several facilitating questions around that topic. And then you can take those questions and decide which ones you're going to use. If we have multiple Athenas on a site for breakout groups, the Athena you can send different Athenas to the different breakout groups, and then Athena talks to them, right? Facilitates their discussions. You can also just program in your own questions, right? But the AI does a really great job of making these facilitative questions. And then the next step from that, Lone, I hope you're getting this, because it's going to be like, what is she talking about? But the easy next step to that is some people are using ChatGPT to do certain types of instructional design. And that is something I've wanted to do for a long time, is create an application. In this case, it would probably be Athena or something like her, where you come in and say, hey, I want to work on this instructional design model, and Athena would guide you through it, right? What are the distinctions between objectives and goals? Why is that important? What does your instructional analysis look like? Where is it appropriate to put in? And how do you configure that with your entry-level behaviors and characteristics of your learners, and walks you through this entire process that is Dick and Carrie's instructional design process. So, it's really a series of questions, and it's just really having the right questions, right? And then being able to talk to an AI and say, well, what are some considerations around this, right? What are considerations around learning theories? Those are the things that largely are missing when people do instructional design, because people don't get taught that until they're in graduate school, right? And if you don't go to graduate school for education, you never learn those benefits. So so I hope, one of the things that's happening is my interest is less in specific applications. It's more on helping others develop their applications. It doesn't mean we won't be exemplifying. And in fact, when you show some of the images that I gave you, I'll be able to talk about some real world applications of those things.
Right. Now, do you see, from your point of view, from obviously the educational point of view, do you see a significant merging of what we call AI, or well, what is AI, and the virtual worlds at the moment, particularly something like OpenSim? And I asked that because I know that Hamlet Orr, over in the other place, has been talking recently about there's some examples in the other place of actual avatars that are now being controlled completely by AIs. And, sort of, but I remember well, the other place, Second Life, come on, I might as well miss it. Many years ago, we had sort of examples of corporations coming in there, and they'd actually hire an avatar or make a robot kind of avatar, not a true NPC, to act as, say, a receptionist. And you came in and you asked a question, and there were about 2 or 3 possible answers. There was nothing like the AI you have now, but it was the start of that kind of thing. So it enabled like an automated interaction. So they didn't have to staff their region with lots of real people in avatars. They had automated systems, to get you through the reception and to give you basic information. And I wonder if this, particularly from an education standpoint, is going to become a growing thing. You're going to have a mixture of avatars in your space, some of which are inhabited by what we call the typist, from way back when, but others will actually be artificial identities with AI abilities, maybe to interpret your conversation and give you, answers. It will have a reference point to actually interact with you that way, as opposed to just a record playing. Do you see
The answer,
future?
yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, the short
Right.
answer is you bet.
Right.
That's why we're looking at really promoting AI, right? And there's really, it was really interesting. I got to go to the Texas Distance Learning or Digital Learning Association conference 2 weeks ago. I work for a major medical school in Texas as an instructional designer, and I also coach faculty in their experimental model design for their research, and I publish as well. So
No.
I was at this conference, and because it was largely had a lot of stuff around AI and gamification, and one of the things that we're seeing that is both incredibly exciting and problematic is, we really don't have a grasp of, number one, the types of AI that are out there, and number two, the cycle of time that is occurring and the rate of change. So one of the problems we're having right now is there are basically AI occurs on a spectrum, right? But there's a big dividing line between, I can't remember what it's called now. I just sound dumb, but the type of AI that it's garbage in, garbage out, right? You're basically programming the AI what to say, okay? And then you drop into what's called generative AI, right? That's further up the spectrum. And the generative AI is where we're seeing this actual learning occur. And then you move further into that and go into deep learning AI, which is really the exciting stuff, right?
No.
So the problem is that people, because they don't know the difference, they're encountering the simple AI that's garbage, that's just, I'm going to put input, it's going to repeat back to me. And then they're thinking that's the same as generative AI, and it's not. Or that generative AI, the most shallow part of it is the deep learning, and it's not. But
Don't you feel that, however, even with the generative AIs, there's always a risk, because AIs are a vast speed. They're sourcing things that already exist and coming to conclusions based on averages and all sorts of things at phenomenal speeds. But one criticism is, of course, that if you're feeding fake news, fake data into the AI, then it's coming to conclusions based on, if the input is fake, its results are going to be fake, if you see what I mean. If people are worried about the
absolutely.
danger the danger that you might have a deep learning system that is infected by false information, just like the web itself is these days. And,
Absolutely. It is a concern. There's a great one of the ladies who did a presentation who it was almost like a TED Talk. She was amazing. And I want
Yeah.
to say something else about TED Talks in a little bit.
Okay.
But one of the things that she did that was, that really, there's a product out there, and I think it's called Helm, maybe, but you go there and you can actually create deep learning models that you teach, right? And then you can watch the type of data that it generates, how it generates the data, like on a graph, and where it starts to coalesce, and then what you can do to accelerate the learning. The thing that came to me, Mal, that just really clarified from this conference is, we all talk about disruptors, right?
Yeah.
And people treat AI like the disruptor is content. And let me tell you, I'm real clear now, content is incidental. Content's always been a problem, right? Content is the independent variable here, okay?
Right.
Time is the disruptor. And the fact that we keep treating this like we have time to respond with our antiquated methods of committees and right, that's the delusion, okay? And every expert will tell you that. It's here. You're not putting it in the box. And it's like, when you watch Star Wars, right? The Force isn't good or evil. There's the dark side and the light side. The Force is just the Force. And that's what we have now. We're beyond the uncanny valley, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We've passed the Turing test. So now, and, I actually had someone that I met who's on a committee developing ethics for AI use in higher ed at an institution that I know. And let me tell you, she's kidding herself. Like, you cannot approach this, that people, this was one of the big differentiators they were talking about is, Chat GPT 3.5 versus 4.0. Okay.
Right.
Because you have to pay for 4.0. So the paid versus the unpaid versions, a world of difference. Right. Today, not in 2 months, yes, I was on Midjourney when it stopped making all the extra fingers and limbs. And guess what? 60 days later, neither was Bing.
Yeah.
Once an AI learns something, if that database is out on the web, every AI will pick it up.
Whether it's a cheap one or an expensive
Whether
one.
it's a cheap one or not. And so all we will see, as long as that information is being shared on the web, the only thing that will happen is the paid products will get there faster. Okay. But it only takes an AI one time to get it right. That's the thing. And it only takes them one time to get it wrong. The good news is when you get it wrong, we can reprogram it to get it right. But you're never going to stop people that I can tell from, misusing it or what the term that you want to use for ethics or morals, any more than we can stop them from using programming for making viruses.
Well, yeah. I mean, thinking of it as productivity tools, essentially, as I do. I like that. I'm fascinated by the way you said the disruptor is time, right? That's the real element there. Are you thinking more? Are you thinking in terms of the speed with which these things have? We're being left behind by their speed.
Yes, we keep asking
when you say time is a disruptor, are you referring to that and the fact that we are sort of getting left behind and we can only do the bit that we do and rely on the productivity tools to do the rest for us?
Well, not exactly, because what I'm referring to is we act like we're in a sprinting race to catch up to we think we're in a sprinting race to get ahead of this, when the truth is we're in the middle of a stampede of rhinos, right? And we're in a foot race. And it's as long as we keep coming at this from trying to make AI and the use of AI and the progression of AI fit into these antiquated models that we use for decision making and getting things done, then we're in disaster. And a great example in higher ed is a lot of schools immediately said, no AI in our schools. You can't use any AI. And what you're doing in that is you're actually hobbling your students, right? Because if I'm in a great example is a school of landscape architecture that we did work with one of their students, very rapidly figured out that all the other architecture schools they were going into challenges with were using AI, all the architectural firms that they were going into challenges against. And then you have to say, okay, you've got a group of students here that are paying $25,000 a year or more for courses. You're releasing them into the world. They have no AI skills. Every firm that's hiring wants someone who's conversant with AI, right? So now we've just destroyed the value of what we do. We've just completely hobbled our students to antiquation. And there's a great book in education called The Saber-Tooth Curriculum, and it's just such a great example of this. But the difference is that we're used to seeing these things happen over a period of decades.
Absolutely.
And now we're having them happen in a period of months or even days.
Minutes.
And so saying to a student, you can't use AI is a joke. Telling students that you can't do research using ChatGPT is a joke. What's not a joke is teaching them methods, good writing methods, number one, and that they have to go back and research every source they're given, every outline that's written. It's still your work to do. Okay. That's the part we're missing.
The sort of template I'm thinking of here, and what you're saying is like in scientific research. You can publish a sort of paper, but until it's been peer reviewed and double checked and everything else, it doesn't have credibility.
That's part of what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, right.
And there may be a day when our peer review is done by AI and we have 3 AI that are going out and checking different resources, but it doesn't mean the human factor isn't required. When you turn in whatever work you're doing, you better be out there looking at the source. You better be making sure your citations are correct. You need to make sure that if you're designing a model, I designed a game design model based on Dick and Carey's work, that I have cited Dick and Carey properly and that I know what I've done with my own model to make that ethical, legal, all that fun, right? And that's not for the AI to do. That's for us to do. That's the part of the critical thinking. AI doesn't mean you stop critically thinking. It means you need to up your critical thinking to work with the AI. That's what we need to be teaching our students. Okay.
Oh, it's quite a minefield, isn't it? Before we move on to the stuff you wanted to move on to, I'm going to just ask James and Thirza, of course, particularly, if you have got any questions while we're on this bit of it, so to speak.
Yeah, nothing from me, but it's a fascinating time to be witnessing all of this happening, and the pace is unimaginable, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And getting faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called acceleration. Yeah. There's any thoughts?
I was going to ask how the three of you got together over this project. What brought you three together? Because I know you come from different backgrounds, so I was just curious to know that backstory.
Well, so you'll see, I'll talk about this a little bit more in a bit when he's showing the images, but I had been in the virtual world in the other place for back in like 2006, and had come in there with a business partner, and we started doing some training and development work in there. Did quite a bit of work before the company decided to start stealing IP from their customers, and then we couldn't bring our clients in. But when I started working for the university, I got into working in a product called Articulate Storyline. And when you're working in these authoring tools, you have to have images to do things. And it's expensive to go out there and get images designed, or buying these images that are really heavily copyrighted, but you're always looking for custom images. And I went, you know what? I'll just go back into the other place and outfit my Abby and buy some animations that for 25 cents a piece. And, I'll make videos and do imagery and make little stories, right? Which I had done before for a client. We actually made a safety course that had a workbook that was a comic book, basically a graphic novel. It was a huge success. And we did everything from doing it in Second Life.
What was the name of the graphic novel, should we call it?
Oh, no. It was part of the course. Get ready to snooze just from the title. The course was called the Refinery Safety Overview, and it was a certification course out in California for contract workers who go into working in refineries for the first time.
So the document was a sort of fixed market thing, not so.
Yeah. It was just for the class, but we made a character by the name of Arturo, who was kind of in a Euro Latin every guy, right? And he comes in as a contractor, doing very simple work, and then throughout the 8 modules, he becomes a tradesman and an operator and a welder. And so then by the end, he is an advanced guy, right? But he goes through all these scenarios where he has to use different PPE, and there are different safety concerns and different parts of the plant. And so throughout that, we created games. This is all part of the Lazanov model. This course was a huge success. They ran it for 8 years with nearly no updates. And when the state of California came in and said, we want all the courses updated, they used this course as their example course for what they wanted to see. And then they had to do a 3-day course, but it was different. They didn't use this model, but they used a lot of the things from it. So, I came back into virtual world and I said, I can make these fabulous, images and videos without having to have all this, other people have done the visual work, right? The avatars, things like that. And so I started doing that, and we had, I work for 2 departments, the School of Health Professions and the School of Nursing. And so the first work I did was with the School of Health Professions, and it was really a hit for his class. And so then I got certified in like several levels of using Articulate. And I started coming in and doing videos and images and making stories and games inside of Articulate that were thematic. So I did that for a year, but I was like, it's the place, right? And so then one day I came to AvaCon, and I'd been meaning to go for years. I never went. Yeah, went over, and I didn't, I went over there, and I'm in my little purple hippo because all I had was a system Avi, and so I'm in my purple hippo, and everybody's in purple hippos, and I'm looking around the room, and there's Selby, right? Thinker Melville, and I'm like, oh, there's Selby, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but he was a professor at TCU, Texas Christians, and I went, and then I look over on the front row, and there's Joyce Bentoncourt and Dave Fleecy, Sun Tzu, and a bunch of. I'm like, that's where all these guys went, and I didn't know that AvaCon was Joyce's.
Revelation time, yes.
So I'm like tapping on David, tapping on Sun Tzu. I'm like, hey, how come you got your Abby to look like that? And he goes, oh, honey, let me show you around. So he took me out and showed me around, and I made my Abby look pretty good. And then I decided they were having a party at another region, and I'd never hypergridded. So he showed me how, and then I thought, okay, my Abby looks good, but I want to make sure that I'm not going to pop somewhere, clothes pop off or something like that. And I looked in Hypergrid Business just to find a place to pop to, and the first ad was for Wildwood Bayou, and it was, Saturday night. So I pop over there, and there's like 30 people there, and they're all wild and partying. And so I go in, and I'm having a great time with them, and learning how to do things again. And guess who's there? Tessa, because she works there, and she invites me to the group, and she's super friendly, and she was one of the first friends I made in the Hypergrid. And then later, when I started hanging out with them, I realized that so much of the work over there was hers, and I was just blown away. And so as you move through these regions that we're building, you're going to see her work, you're going to see Indigo's work, you're going to see Maximus Lear's work, you're going to see Jimmy's work. And I just happened to meet, I ended up, in AMV, met Indy and Max and Jimmy, and then came to Wolf Territories. And Wolf Territories has the enterprise systems that I want, but I got these amazing builders, and I really just wanted for other people to experience what they do and how it can be applied in this immersive world environment.
Xenon dreams up things and we build them for her. We're her construction workers.
Oh, so well, that's what you call teamwork. One person thinks of everything, and then lets all the other people do it for them.
That's because I have no talent.
I
have no talent. That's why.
But
they're the talented ones.
But Xenon's great. Normally, I don't like to do custom work for people because, they have something in their head, and if you don't nail it exactly, they're like really unhappy about it. But Xenon's like, I kind of want nah. And you're like, oh, and then she just lets you run with it, and you just never know what's going to happen, do you, Indy? And it always, she'll come in and like every now and then she'll say, well, maybe you could do this a little bit differently. But she really just lets you be creative. It works out really well, I think. Don't you think?
Well, over distance, which I presume you're not all living in the same house, for example, this is another thing that the virtual world empowers because, traditionally I can have an idea and sketch out some designs for something and send them to somebody like the client, and then some art director, just to justify his job, will make some changes and send it back to you and stuff. And eventually something happens. But when you're in the virtual world, you can all be present in the same place and collaborate. So I can be in the scene we're looking at here, where like Stonehenge type thing, and sort of you might say, oh no, take those boulders on the top down and rearrange them a bit so they look more like bricks and they don't look like the Stonehenge we're used to, or something. But the thing is, you can tell me to modify that on the spot, and I can do it, and then I can come up with ideas on the spot, and you can improve it, if you see what I mean. And that can only happen in a virtual world, because you can have Zoom calls and conference calls and everything else, but the thing that makes OpenSim, as opposed to a lot of other virtual worlds, including the other place, is that it's a collaborative space in itself.
Yes.
You may only have an avatar, but your avatar can do things, and the avatar next to you can do things, and you trade ideas and do construction and stuff in real time as a collaboration effort, sort of, even though the individuals may be at other sides of the planet,
Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting things about everything you're looking at, that are the builds, not the stuff like you just had an image up there of, an avatar looking like they're dressed like Starfleet. That's me by myself, right? I had a couple of people helping me, but those were images for a learning that I'm working on right now for the School of Health Professions called Blood Bank Explorers, and the theme we picked was a Space Explorers theme, and it's all about blood typing.
Yeah, let me just pause you there, because, as you said, I've now moved to your slideshow. I don't know how many pictures there are. I suppose I should click through them fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But I guess going through your slides is going to trigger the other conversation about the forthcoming stuff and things like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the time too. We haven't got forever, so I thought maybe we'll start on the slideshow bit.
Yeah, go ahead and we'll tie it back in, because all this stuff ties together, right?
Right. Okay, well, there's a Star Trek to start with, and same again.
So the Blood Bank Explorers is based on doing blood typing, and this is just, I do a lot of stuff that's still, right? We do still photos, and then we make it into like a story, right? So storybook, and then it'll have activities the learners can do in between. My photography wasn't great back then. I've got better photography now, but we have stories with activities, and so there'll be things that happen, and the learners have to figure things out, right, based on what they've learned. And so in this case, they're in the star system Angio at it's called Cardio or something. Anyway, it's the Angio planet in the Cardio system, right? And it's so it's all tied into blood work, okay? And then they have to go through this exploration and figure out this blood typing for these aliens, okay? And so there's this is like 3 modules for the first part of it, and we're going to be launching that for the summer class and then taking the data for the responses. It's all refresher work for them to do their certifications. Now this, jumping elsewhere, is one of our spaces. Again, this is a region designed by Maximus Lear, but we have Indigo who has gone in here, and she has been finishing out this the coffee. I call it the coffee shop. But again, designed to be an inspiring meeting space on a region that has it's a massive 4x4, and it has many places that you can go and break things out. As you can see, we really hyped this place up with some Banksy art. You know, she just did a stellar job. And the place is designed with lots of little enclave areas, but it also has a stage in it. And then you can actually have speakers, but not,
Indy, you did all this, the internal construction, or is it just the decoration? It's lovely. I mean,
the building itself is something that Maximus Lear brought out, but I went in and did all the interior decorating and did some of the custom work in there as well. You know, I was in constant communication with Xenon and what she wanted, and some of the stuff that I did, like for the Banksy stuff, I would take it into GIMP, and because I wanted to make the murals for it, so I would take it into GIMP and alter it over there just to be able to make the murals for it. She specifically wanted some Banksy stuff for there, so and I brought that in. And, yeah, I went and modified quite a lot of things over there. There are some of my own builds in there, like the hanging plants on the walls, and it is things that I made myself for the part of the decorations over there.
Right.
So so she pulled me in to do the decorating. That's just the one building so far, but there's still quite a lot of other areas and buildings that she wants me to go in and finish up for her on many of the other regions as well.
And to give you an idea,
it's got a nice rich sort of flavor of its own there. So,
yeah, it's stunning. And then she is also, there's a whole what Max had originally designed as this exposition area. That's just another shot of like the wine fields that he put in. And then if you see that house in the background, we have several houses like that I'm going to design. I'm having Indy design them as breakout areas. But we also have a beautiful expo area down by the water that we're going to turn into a drive-in theater using that streaming method that Lone has developed. And so then presenters for more, traditional stuff can go down there and do these presentations. Now, this is kind of Tessa's opus, I like to call it. This is 2 regions that make up Wolf Tech. And we haven't moved. We're moving them today over to Wolf Tech. We finally got the details done. The area you're looking at right now connects the 2 regions. We call it the marshland. And the vision for that is that I don't know if you're familiar with Saint Michel in France, but back when you would have to literally wait for the tide to go out and then walk over there. And so,
right. Well, yeah, I have family in a place that was in the Scilly Isles in the UK. There are a couple of islands that are only together. They're individual with a bridge, low tide and a high tide. They might as well not be joined,
You're going to be spending the night. And so we kind of wanted that experience, right? Like you're walking across there. We have a few, conference places you can collaborate there. But then as you get to the other side of that on the main Wolf Tech campus side, you're going to go up this hill and you're going to see this beautiful build. And the build is called La Khalifa. And I've shown it to you guys, I think, briefly before. The thing about this build, this is just in itself a beautiful example of education. So I'm going to bring up a name, Richard Whitehurst. If you are interested in Richard's work after I tell you about this, he has just published some books on Amazon. So that's Richard E. Whitehurst, brilliant guy. He's a student, a master's student at the School for Landscape Architecture. And he came up with this concept build that was part of a Terra Viva contest. They didn't enter the contest, but they work these Terra Viva contests. And La Khalifa is a real place. It's in Italy, in Tuscany, but it's not the wine country. It's land where typically they grow plants for pigments, which is a huge industry.
Oh,
And this place was, decaying. And so their group is supposed to come in and figure out ways to make this preserve the history and make it sustainable. And so
nice.
his vision was the concept of beautiful decay, right? So we're not coming in and redoing these buildings. We're letting the buildings naturally decay. We've built infrastructures inside of them that they can decay around without making the building unsafe. And the entire property has been cultivated to look like it's wild, but it's actually cultivated carefully for different plants that produce pigments. And so as you walk through this, it's a moment in time. This goes back to time, right? It's a moment in time. We're about 15 years into the future of what happened after this build. And you're there. And this is something that represents a real world site and the possibilities of what can be done with it that are not what we call conventional reclamation and use. Okay.
I'm intrigued actually. You got any comments on this, Thirza? It sort of seems to remind me of what this sort of environment I imagine you'd be in. Is this your
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Is this your kind of landscape? I was thinking, Italian. Although you said this is the south, isn't it? So yeah, I was just wondering if this kind of architecture, this kind of place, is familiar to you. I'm sorry.
Not really. No.
Is it
supposed to look like? Is it supposed to look like Tuscany? Tuscany, perhaps. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and it's
a little bit.
Yeah, the buildings are very old, but they're not. When we talk about Italian, they're not necessarily looking like we consider traditional Italian architecture. It's an old farm, basically. And Tessa did the build. She did all the texturing. Most of the plants you see, came from Jimmy. Just the whole team really contributed to this. And it's really exciting because it was such a global effort, right? We have someone in Brazil. We have two of us that are Southerners, right? Me and Tessa from the deep South, my friends, and Indy, who lives in the U.S. but came from another country. Max is from Canada. Richard is over on the West Coast. So it's just such a great example of something coming together that really couldn't have happened any other way. And then really demonstrates what you're looking at is La Khalifa, what it would be in this vision 15 years into the future, right?
That's fantastic. Great job.
Thank you. The other learning part of this is, those are some additions we built, another outdoor meeting space. I'm sure y'all have seen that building too. But the La Khalifa itself represents the opportunity to create almost a virtual living clock. So one of the things we're considering doing later is taking that build, putting the original photographs of La Khalifa from like the 1920s or 30s on one side, then maybe this build, and then maybe a build 50 years into the future. What it would look like it really begins to decay, and we have to come up with ways to accommodate that or reclaim it. So this is something you can't do in the real world. Not just proof of concept, but what's it going to look like tomorrow? What's it going to look like next week? What's it going to look like 50 years in the future?
I'm just going off of the tangent a bit, back in the other place. By the way, when I refer to the other place, in England, Parliament, politicians in the House of Commons refer to the House of Lords as the other place.
Yeah, well, they made a TV show. They made a TV show called The Other Place that's about hell. So yeah.
Oh, right, okay. But actually, that's an aside. Back there, a long time ago, a musician, Grace McDonough, created a thing called Music Immersion. She released an album in real world, in fact. And she premiered it in Inworld. But what she did is she had a tower. Everybody was in a seat and they were all linked together. So you had to be there on time, take your seat. And after every song, the whole seating arrangement moved up to the next floor of the tower. Nice. And she had a whole different set
Mm-hmm.
except for the seats for each song, right?
Yes.
And I always thought that would be a very great idea to, you could have a build
I
limited of
agree.
ancient Rome, and then you
Yes.
could have another build on another level, which is exactly the same, but later in time.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally take people on seats and transfer them through time by taking them up to the
And
environment.
that's something we can do here that you can't easily do. I mean, how much did that cost that person to do that in the
Well,
real
actually,
world?
well, I think she did mostly herself, and it was all in one region in
Mm-hmm.
SL. So
Okay, it was in SL, right? But
yeah,
it's
the other
something.
place, as I said.
Yeah, the other place. And I thought it was somebody did it in real life. I was like, that
Oh
would
no,
cost
no, no,
a
no! This is
fortune. Yeah.
no, not in real life. But as a structural idea, you've got a Tower of
Mm-hmm.
Time, and you just, it's obviously has to be the same build,
Yeah.
just witnessing it decaying through time, or maybe evolving through time, from nothing to something, and then falling apart, rise and fall of whatever it is. All
I
in.
was talking to, there's a really great researcher on wolf territories with University of California, Irvine, and his name is Tom, and I cannot remember his last name right now, but
Berstoff.
yeah.
Tom Berstoff, yeah?
Yeah, Tom Bearstuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we were
I
talking
know.
yesterday, and
Oh.
one of the things that I was telling him, because this is all in climate change too, and he was really fascinated by La Khalifa. And
Yeah.
I told him, one of the things about the build that Richard and I talked about was some of the wooden structures as they start to decay, right? There's an area that was converted. Tessa did 2 conversions on it being a dining hall. It was a pigsty. And that building is wood. And so as that building begins to decay around that infrastructure, you have to make choices, right? What are we going to do with the wood? Are we going to return it to the land? Are we going to use it for something smaller? Are we going to burn it? But what would you replace on that structure? And we thought about getting canvas tents made that look like big, nice tents, right? Like dining tents. And then the concept would be it's that material that you can grow mushrooms in, like that they actually have where you can die and they put your body in this thing and it grows mushrooms and you go back to the earth. What if you just did that for this tent? You use that same material and oyster mushrooms grew, and now you're harvesting these mushrooms, and over time it's going to decay that tent too. Then you just replace it with another tent, and you can just take that tent, throw it out somewhere on the property, and the mushrooms grow and you harvest them until the tent is gone. That's we're in trouble.
Oh, James has got a new sound. That is the hurry up mouth business. Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
So those are some of the things.
I'll tell you what. I've been clicking fast through these odds of the historical characters here. I think we ought to maybe pass that. Don't know. Now this, of course, is a scene from the film I had this morning.
So no, that's actually different. This one, yeah, that's at VWEC. Yes.
Yeah. That's on.
This is just the landing area. You already covered that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same here. This is all a bit on film. This was nice too. It was in the film, but didn't get back to it.
That's the community circle that Jimmy made. So now if you want to have, collaborations in the round, that's the campfire, another breakout area. Again, remember sending people to that, and then they have Athena show up in there. She's asking them facilitative questions around the topic they've been given. And that's the platform.
Oh, we're done after all that. We're near the end anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So
I hope
you were going to talk about. We are running out of time. So you were also going to talk about things coming up and things.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we're gonna be launching these areas. I'm gonna have openings for each one. We're gonna have the art journey. It'll be the 2 educational areas, but also oh my gosh, I can't even remember. This is terrible. I've got so much happening. I'm kind of probably the next big piece for me on the education side is working on my instructional design course and
Right.
there'll be the in-world part of it, which will no one will ever pay for, right? Like that is going to be for everyone to enjoy, to go through, to learn about doing instructional design and about accelerated learning, and then taking those images and turning them into an online course that is outside the virtual world that will be monetized. But everything I do in world will not. It'll be free for everyone to use. And then hopefully, the intention is to have some meetings at these incredible meeting spaces. I'm a big believer in flipped classrooms. So, send somebody in to do some exploration, certain segments, come back in, we get together, they apply their learning to their own learning that they're doing. And then from the end of it, they get a course, right, that they've designed. So that's kind of the culmination of the stuff for me. That's what's in it for me. In the meantime, we're talking, Tom got invited to the National Science Foundation next week. I've gotten grants through different entities. And really what I'm looking for are opportunities to collaborate and start looking at grant opportunities, applying for grants. We helped, one of the big projects I did in the other place was we helped University of Texas Health Science Center and the Medical Center in Houston get the Reynolds grant the last year they had it. So they got a $2 million grant, and we built Space and World on my region to teach. Then we moved it to we got them to buy a region, and we got it to teach residents geriatric medicine and help them get specialties. So that was really exciting. That was a long time ago too. It was 2009, I think, 2008. Thousands of years ago, and so it was really, I mean, back in the day, Sonny, whippersnappers. So it was really big stuff.
Out of curiosity, by the way, is Tom going to be helping you over here on OpenSim?
No, I don't know. We're hoping to collaborate. I love what he's working on, and he was certainly fell in love with our builds and wants some advice on landscaping and that kind of thing.
Hey guys, apologies, but I'm gonna have to leave you guys. It's been a really interesting show for me. I hope to see you very soon again.
I will see you on the
see you,
safari. Yeah. Thanks, Thirza.
Okay, thank you, Thirza. Oh, and you're literally just being in front of us, right?
A piece at a time.
Right, that's yeah, she had to rush. Never mind. Yes, Tom. I think twice. I think I interviewed Tom and back in the old days in the other place, but
brilliant.
I'd never seen him here. I've often thought, oh, he'd be a good person to have in.
Oh gosh, yes, you got to get him on the show. But, absolutely, yeah.
Maybe he'll show up with an OpenSim avatar sometime, and I can bag him, so to speak.
No,
okay. I was going to ask James and Thirza if they had any other questions, but we know where Thirza's gone. So.
Hi, Thirza.
James, any thoughts for you before you've already pressed the alarm? So.
No, not at all. It's very exciting, and I was an educator of some sort in my past, but now I'm just a broadcaster and just pushing the buttons. So.
Right. All you do is help with education. That's what you do is you're promoting education, because that's what this is. Yeah.
Right.
But James,
that's all.
James was filming the virtual world, Kevin Feenan's thing, virtual world
best practices.
Recently too. So
awesome.
And I'm pretty sure I saw the VWC booth there. So.
Yeah.
Hey, this is education, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is how people are learning, right? Yeah. It's awesome.
Life is a learning process, whether it's virtual or real, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're learning all the time. We can either make it awesome or make it tedious. It's up to us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lifelong challenge to absorb as much as possible. And then when you've got it all, you just explode.
Yeah.
Find a way of managing that. Where's my backup for the data, please?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks again for having me on here. I know I've talked your ear off, but it's my real passion.
I was beginning to feel a bit sad for Contessa and Indigo for a while. They weren't getting much of a word in, but you really did.
We're lovely assistants.
Yeah, you really did summarize it well, and cover a lot of ground there. So it was great, and we look forward to catching up with you on all the new. Well, one of them is said in about a week or something. So hop over there and see it. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to thank you so that we can wrap everything up. So, thank you to my guests this week, Indigo Moon. Thank you, Indigo.
You're welcome.
And thank you to Contessa Lacombe. Thank you, Contessa.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, of course, to Xenon Darrow. Thank you, Xenon.
I want to give a shout out to my assistant, Savannah Joy. She helps me with these, with things like marketing, and she's
Right.
just awesome. So I couldn't do anything without these guys. I'm pretty useless.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. It's like any great collaboration. There's a lot of people there. I mean, what you've done is like explain it, very well. I mean, I'm sure there's massive collaborators. The roll call, and you always forget somebody. You go you do the roll call of 100 people, and then 101 is missing. But no, I'm sure it's great thanks to all the people involved with you. Okay, thanks also to James Atlloud for fiddling with the knobs and etc. etc. Thank you, James.
Yeah, absolutely, Mel.
And with that, I'm afraid we're out of here. We won't be here same time, same place next week because, of course, we will be at the Hypergrid International Expo. In fact, at about this time next week, it will be the final leg of that expo. It's actually on Saturday. 2 sessions on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So we'll be stuck there. I don't think we'll be doing an outside broadcast along with it, but
we'll be plenty busy. That's all right.
Plenty busy,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even in the lunch break. So, with that, however, we will see you in 2 weeks' time here. After HIE, we'll probably have a little look back at the expo itself, and who knows what else as we fill on up. And very, very shortly, Thurza's not here to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that within a couple of weeks, we're back on track for the next season of Hypergrid Safari. I was going to say happenings. Hypergrid Safari to report on too. So it's all go here. In the meantime, I wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, and indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever or whenever you are. And there's another connection to time there, of course, isn't there? Anyway, we're out of here. Bye-bye.